Hi, this is Rick again. Now let's talk about getting input. We've talked about getting output. Now let's talk about getting input. I kind of skipped a bit when I talked about output. Output and input in Java, at least when we're doing it this way, are actually done with something called streams. When we talk about system out print line or system out print, we're talking about the output stream. When we talk about system in, which we haven't talked about yet, but we are going to, we're talking about the input stream, and these map to certain things, certain files in Java. So let's say we have a task. We want to get the input stream, waving our hands at that one for now, ask the user for their name, which we ought to be able to do with something called system.in, get the name from the input stream, in other words, actually get a string that means their name, and then print hello and whatever their name is. So in order to do this, we're going to need to dig into streams a little bit more. So stream.io, stream input output in Java, kind of looks like this. System.out, which we've talked about, is mapped to something called standard out or std out. This is the standard output stream. Don't get confused. This is usually just the monitor you're looking at your computer. System.in maps to something called stdin, standard input, the standard input stream, usually the keyboard. These are treated for good reasons as files by our programming language. So to write output, which we already know how to do, we can use the convenience methods of system.out, like print and printline and so forth. But system.in is a little trickier. It gives us input in bytes, not characters, not strings, not anything else, just bytes. So we have to use a helper of some kind to get strings. Well, it turns out there's a lot of helpers that we can use with system.in to get various kinds of things. There's even a few that will help us stringify input. But the simplest one that we'll use, at least for now, we'll use the scanner class to help us get input. So let me give you a recipe. Don't worry about the details of the recipe, but this shows you how to wrap standard in or system.in in a scanner so we can use it to get strings. We declare a new thing of type scanner. We're calling it input, and we get a new scanner. We'll talk about this when we talk about making objects and classes and things like that. And we're using system.in to create that scanner in some way. Again, don't worry about the detail. Next, we make a string, user input, and we take whatever is at the next string in the scanner. Input, which is the name of our scanner, dot next. This will get everything the user types at the keyboard up to and including the enter key or the return key, and put it in a string called user input. Now we have a way to do our task. So let's go ahead and start working at this. We want to get the input stream, so we know we want a scanner, and we're going to wrap system in. Let's give it a name, and we'll do it exactly the way we saw before. So scanner input equals new, for some reason, we'll talk about that shortly, scanner, and then we'll use system.in, which we haven't used before, but it sounds like system.out, only in reverse, and it is. So now we want to ask the user for their name. That we know how to do. That's going to be simply system.out.println, or print, let's use print, makes more sense here. What is your, if I could type, this would go quicker, name, question mark, space, and then they'll be able to enter right here after it prints out what is your name. And I'm kind of giving it away. Let's erase that. All right, now we want to get the name from the input stream. Well, we have a scanner called input, so let's go ahead and set up a string to hold whatever that name is going to be. Good name for this string would be name. And that will be whatever is next in our scanner, just like that, including the new line. And then we're going to print out hello, and then whatever that name is. So we can say system out print line, and then we can use our friend string format, and we can say hello %s, and that's kind of weird, so we'll put the name in there. For %s, we'll just replace %s with the name. Now let's see if it worked. If it did, it's going to be pretty cool. So we're running it, and we see, what is your name? So far, so good. Let's just say Rick. That's my name. And if I hit enter, look at that. It said, hello, Rick. In other words, it greeted me by getting my name from system in, wrapped in a scanner called input, and then using the next method of the scanner class, the object of which we have named input. Now, I just used a lot of terminology in that last sentence that you don't understand yet, but you will, and we're going to cover that in the very next unit. Thank you very much.